So what we are going to talk about now is the legal basis of convention under the legal basis of inclusive education, and one of that is the this one. It's what does UNESCO say about inclusive education? We discussed it already. So last meeting, what is the Convention on the Rights of the Child, 1989? So this one is the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child is a legally binding international agreement setting out the civil, political, economic, social, and cultural rights of every child, regardless of their race, religion, or abilities. So later on, I'm going to check if marami ba ay mag-check ako kung naka-ano pa kayo doon sa ating uh, menti.com. Okay? So another one is we will consider the characteristics, the civil, political, economic, social, cultural aspects of the child. So what does the UNESCO say about inclusive education? So according to UNESCO, inclusive education is seen as a process of addressing and responding to the diversity of needs of the diversity of needs of all learners through increasing participation in learning, cultures, and communities, and reducing exclusion from education and from within education. The goal is that the whole education system. So it's very important na um, that inclusive education is as a part of the addressing and responding to the diversity of needs. So meaning we are going to consider the differences of the child. So meaning we are catering different kinds of learners. So we are handling them based on their characteristics also. So the most important is we wanted to increase their participation. Meaning mababa dapat ang percentage on dropping out, mababa dapat yung percentage on failing grades. Kaya dapat um, we are doing something na dapat maano sila, ma dapat manatili sila sa paaralan. And another one is to reduce exclusion from education, from and from within education. So what is UNESCO in special education? Ano yung stand ng UNESCO sa education? So the stand of the UNESCO is promotes effective practices and knowledge sharing through various platforms such as the inclusive education in action, empowering teachers, empowering learners. So we must empower them. We must empower our learners in in inclusive education. So there is a partnership with the European Agency for Special Needs and Inclusive Education and the online knowledge. So yun naman ngayon talaga ang mga importante na they are what na they we must partner with the different agency that can help us in the implementation of inclusive education. So what are the four key elements of inclusion according to UNESCO? For its part, the Guidelines of Inclusion report uses four key elements to conceptualize inclusive education. Number one, it can be seen as a process. So hindi po siya agad-agad, hindi po siya agaran. There must be steps to follow. Then another one, number two, it can be it requires the identification and removal of barriers to learning. So we will also identify problems. We will identify also barriers and what possible solution to that problem, to that challenge. Number three, it aims to have all students achieve results in attendance, participation, and quality learning. So that's why po we are aiming na dapat they must be in school, that we are aiming 100% attendance, and we must do something. Ano yung gagawin mo kapag ang bata ay hindi nag-a-attend ng classes? Ano yung gagawin mo? Hahayaan mo na lang ba na hindi siya makapag-attend? Hahayaan mo na lang ba na wala siyang gawin? So the most important is they are in school. They are participating and they are receiving quality education coming from us. So yan po ang pinaka-importante. Dapat we must give quality education with our students. We are, ano din po dapat, na we are giving them an opportunity to we are giving them an opportunity to study, to learn, ano po? So, yun ang importante. Dapat huwag natin silang hahayaan na hindi pumasok sa paaralan. Dapat we are doing something para ma-encourage sila, para ma-improve ang kanilang learning outcomes, ang kanilang school academic performance. So next is, what is meant by education for all? So I know that you heard EFA, you already heard education for all. So what is this? We already mentioned this one. Now we are improving aspect of the quality of education, um, in ensuring their excellence so that recognized and measurable learning outcomes are achieved by all, especially in literacy, numeracy, and essential life skills. So we wanted to improve the quality of education. Then we will identify the learning outcomes. So that's why po, even today, na meron tayong pandemic, still para we are doing something para ma-assess ang performance nila. We are doing something para manatili sila sa 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 tamang performance. Okay. So, dapat numeracy and literacy must go hand in hand. Dapat magkasabay palagi si literacy, magkasabay palagi si numeracy. Yun po. So, another one is, what is education for all in the Philippines? In 2015, the Education for All initiative included provisions to ensure all Filipinos were able to achieve what UNESCO calls functional literacy. So ano ba yung ano natin? Ano ba yung goal natin? Dapat we must be able to give functional literacy. Ibig sabihin, yung may natututunan yung bata. Theory plus concepts plus skills equals functional literacy. They must be able to apply what they have learned. They must be able to do their learnings in their daily life. Ano po? So, the ability to read, write, and do calculation at a level that is sufficient for the country in which a particular person lives. So, why education for all is important? Bakit napakahalaga nito? It is very important. Um, Education for all is very important because education provides stability in life. So, kahit saan ka pumunta, if you are educated, if you are working, if you are having education, you are able to land for a job. So, madali kang makahanap ng trabaho, madali kang matanggap sa trabaho, and it's something that no one can ever take away from you. Diba? So, hindi yan man, sabi ba ng mga magulang natin, hindi yan mananakaw ni numan. Hindi yan mawawala sa iyo ni numan. By being well educated and holding a college degree, you increase your chances for better career opportunities and open up new doors for yourself. So, meaning, if you are educated, you are opening an opportunity. If you are ano po, educated, you are opening an opportunity for yourself, 'di ba? So, merong pagkakataon na malaki ang chance mong makapagtrabaho, malaki ang chance mong maghanap ng opportunity para sa iyo sa labas po, 'di ba? So, it's very important na makapag-aral. So, the most important reason why we are studying is because we have reason to continue for a living. So, para may rason na may pagpatuloy natin yung pang-araw-araw na pamumuhay. 'Di ba? So, kung wala ka ng makain, wala ka ng maano, so paano ka pa mabubuhay? So, you cannot do that also if wala kang ah, pinagkukunan, wala kang source. So, commonly, if you finish your studies, malaki ang chance mong makaroon ka ng trabaho. Okay? So, kasi, mm, wait lang na. Kasi meron kang malaki ang advantage mo. Malaki ang chance mo sa labas. Okay? So what is the role and function of education in the 21st century? So the role of educators in the 21st century should be helping every student learn how to learn. Okay? Let me emphasize that word, learn how to learn. Okay? Dapat we are teaching them na turuan natin sila kung paano sila matuto, kung paano sila matuto sa kanilang sarili. So kasi ako I'm always emphasizing this, ang tinuturo namin, it's not enough. It's still, you need to do some research, you need to do some readings. So, pinaka-importante is dapat nag-ano ka din, may pinag ano ka din, may pinag BBC-han, may natututunan ka din. It's inspiring creativity. So it's very important that you are inspiring creativity, encouraging collaboration. So more on po ang K-12 program ay mayroon tayong uh, ano sa K-12 program na makapag group activity, they can collaborate with others. So, yun ang hindi natin ngayon nagagawa dahil meron tayong pandemic. Supposedly is supposedly is sa K-12 program, we are expected to give collaborative efforts, collaborative work for our learners, expecting and rewarding critical thinking. So that is the thing that we must develop among our learners. We must develop their critical thinking. We must develop their cognitive skills, and teaching children not only how to communicate but also the power of effective communication. Dapat they are able to communicate with you, with others. No po? So dapat may ano tayo. Um, ma, mai-transfer natin yung learner sa kanila is um, mai-transfer natin sa kanila kung ano ang main objective natin. Okay po? So next is, what is the K-12 inclusion program in the Philippines? Ano po ba itong K-12 inclusion? The K-12 inclusion program covers kindergarten and 12 years of basic education, 6 years of primary education, 4 years in the junior high school, and um, 2 years for senior high school, to provide sufficient time for mastery and concept and skills, develop lifelong learners, and prepare graduates for tertiary education. So, yun nga, kung bakit po tayo ngayon na we are striving hard na even po sa panahon ng pandemic, magkaroon tayo ng ganitong setup na kahit alam ko na mahirap for you, ano po, mahirap sa atin, mahirap din sa akin, kasi I have also the difficulty kasi ng ano on how we will deliver the lesson. That is, mayroon din tayong kahirapan kung papaano. But, because of the technology, we made it possible. No? Um, inano natin ang possibility. Okay. So, what is the inclusion policy in schools? What is the inclusion policy in schools? This policy describes the way we meet the needs of children who experience barriers to their learning, which may relate to sensory or physical impairment. Okay? So, this, wait for, okay, so balikan ko ito dito na the way we meet the needs of children who experience barriers to their learning, which may relate to sensory or physical impairment. Yan. Learning difficulties or emotional or social development, or may relate to factors in their environment, including the learning environment they experience in school. Yan. Okay, so next is what policy of inclusion is adopted in the Philippines. So next is um, in striving to education as many as possible, and with limited funds to build a separate special education infrastructure to cater to the needs of children with disabilities. Inclusive education was officially adopted in 1997 by the Department of Education in the Philippines as a viable educational alternative. Okay. So, yan ang ano natin is mm, why there is difficulty in the infrastructure. Kasi iba naman ang kanilang mga buildings, iba naman ang kanilang ah, paggawa, no? Kasi mayroon silang mga infrastructure na that is exclusive only for the PWDs. Ano po? So, what are the inclusive policies in education in the Philippines? The adoption of an inclusive education approach in the heart of the country's educational system is mandated by the 1987 Philippine Constitution, the Child and Youth Welfare Code, the Special Protection of Children Against Child Abuse, Exploitation and Discrimination Act. So let us take note of the following laws since we are talking about legal basis of education. Let us be guided of the 1987 Philippine Constitution, the Child and the Youth Welfare Code, which is the PD, Presidential Decree 603, the Special Protection of Children Against Child Abuse, Exploitation and Discrimination Act, which is the Republic Act 7610. So, tayo mga teachers, we are advocating to stop violence against children and women. Okay, so meron tayo ngayong tinatawag na VAUC. So, violence against women and children. We wanted to stop that, no? We wanted to stop that kasi walang kalaban-laban yung mga bata. Walang kalaban-laban din yung mga um, walang kalaban-laban yung mga babae, mga kababaihan. Okay, so let us now proceed. Another one is the Article 14 of the 1987 Constitution. The state shall protect and promote the right of all citizens to quality education at all levels. Yan. So we are aiming to give quality education and shall take appropriate steps to make such education accessible to all. So dapat we are ano din natin ang mga bata, napabilang sila sa ating pag-aaral that all educational institutions shall include the study of the Constitution as part of the curricula. So that's why po we have Philippine Constitution, the 1987 Philippine Constitution, especially sa mga SOCSTAD, meron silang subject nito, meron silang pag-aaral ng tungkol sa mga legal basis of education. So what's the meaning of Article 14, Section 1? As expressed in Article 14, Section 1 of the Philippine Constitution, the state shall protect and promote the right of all citizens. Take note of that. Protect and promote the right of all citizens to quality education at all levels and shall take appropriate steps to make such education accessible at all. Yan. So, para magkaroon tayo ng quality education. What is the meaning again of Article 14, Section 2? It provides that the state recognizes the role of women in nation building. So, ngayon po that we have the gender development, that we have um, that we are in the democratic country, all are welcome to serve the country. So, meron na tayo ngayon ng mga babaeng leaders not only in the nation but also lalo na din sa mga barangays, no? So, in shall ensure the fundamental equality before the law of women and men. Certain diseases, disorders, and conditions are peculiar to, more serious, and more prevalent in women. So what's the provision of the Article 14, Section 1 and Section 2? The following are some provisions of the 1987 Philippine Constitution which conform to these international obligations. Article 14, Section 2, elementary education is compulsory for all children of school age. Article 14, Section 1, the state shall protect and promote the right of all citizens to quality education. So, yun. So, take note of this. Ito, lumalabas to sa board exam na kapag elementary education compulsory. Ano po? So, pag the government, it shall protect and promote the right of all citizens to quality education. So, aside from the legal basis in inclusive education, we have the Republic Act 1053-3. This is about Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013 has expanded the years of schooling in basic education from 10 years to 12 years. So a while ago, I mentioned that na 6 years in elementary, 4 years in junior high school, 2 years in senior high school. So meron po yan from kindergarten to 12, so grade 12. The Republic Act 53-3 has mandated the Department of Education to formulate programs to enact the above-mentioned provision of the law. So why is Republic Act 1053-3 important? Why it is very important? 1053-3 Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013, the state shall create a functional basic education system that will develop productive and responsible citizens equipped with the essential competencies, skills, and values for both lifelong learning and employment. So, we wanted to produce citizens that are productive. Dapat yung may pakinabang, yung kapaki-pakinabang. We wanted to develop citizens that are responsible. They are with the skills, they have their competencies, their values, which can be used in their lifelong learning and in their field of work. So, what's the title of RA 10533? The Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013. The state shall establish, maintain, and support a complete, adequate, and integrated system to education relevant to the needs of the people, the country, and society at large. So, tandaan po ito, Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013. Ito na po ito yung K-12 program. Okay. So, what does Republic Act 10533 say about MTB-MLE? What's the meaning of MTB-MLE? Mother tongue-based multilingual education. The Republic Act 10533 says that the curriculum shall adhere to the principles and framework of mother tongue-based multilingual education, which starts from where the learners are. So we will consider po that where they started, what they have learned, what concepts that they know, from what they already knew, proceeding from the known to the unknown. Why? Why it's very important to know that. Para as a teacher, you know where to start the lesson or where to end the lesson. Instructional materials and capable teachers to implement the MTB MLE. So, meron na ngayong mga materials, mga aklat na translated in Bicol. Okay. So, what is Republic Act 8371 all about? This is all about Indigenous Peoples' Right Act, an act to recognize, protect, and promote the rights of the indigenous cultural communities, the indigenous people. They are also human. They are also human being, so they deserve to be respected. Ano po? So karapatan din nila na respetuhin sila nating mga tao, kapwa natin sila. We are creating a national commission on the indigenous people, establishing implementing mechanisms for appropriating funds and for other purposes. So, what are the rights of the indigenous people in the Philippines? Republic Law 8371, known as the Indigenous Peoples' Right Act, was enacted in 1997. It has been praised for its support for the cultural integrity and indigenous people, the right to their lands, and right to self-directed development of these lands. So binigyan sila ng batas, the EPRA, wherein na dapat maprotektahan at mapangalagaan ang kanilang pag-aari, ang kanilang mga lupain. Okay? So take note of that also. So what are the violations or offenses punishable under this law? The authorized and unlawful intrusion, unauthorized and unlawful intrusion upon or use of any portion of the ancestral domain, or any violation of the rights herein before enumerated shall be punishable under this law. So kapag may pag may may violation with the in 38371, they are punishable by law. So what is PD 603 all about? The Council for the Welfare of Children was created through Presidential Decree 603, otherwise known as the Child and Youth Welfare Code in 1974. It is mandated to coordinate the implementation and enforcement of all laws, formulate, monitor, and evaluate policies, programs, and measures for children. So, tayo, we are teachers, we are future teachers. So soon you will handle secondary. Still, they are children. Why? The high school students can be can be called pa rin children because the definition of children is below 18 years of age. So yon. So it's they are under Presidential Decree 603. So who is deemed a neglected child under PD 603? Repetition of offenses, a child who is 15 years of age or below 15 years of age and who commits an offense for the third time or oftener shall be deemed a neglected child under Presidential Decree number 603. So, balikan ko yung sinasabi ko, kapag paulit-ulit na ginawa ito sa bata na 15 years of age and commits offense for the third time, yung offender ay yeah, they will be facing the Presidential Decree 603. So, what is child and youth welfare? It refers to the services and activities designed for the care, protection, participation, and rehabilitation of children and youth in difficult situations. What do you mean by difficult situation? An example for this is if, for example, in Marawi, okay, so sila yung mga nasa difficult situation. Halimbawa, ang lugar is may mga nakatirang taga-bundok. So this can be called as difficult situation and ensure their social adjustment, total growth, and development. Yeah. So what is RA 7610 all about? So take note of this. This is special protection of children against abuse, exploitation, and discrimination. An act providing for stronger deterrence and special protection against child abuse. Yan. So, take note of this. Ito yung ipinaglalaban natin na dapat maprotektahan ang mga bata sa pang-aabuso, in exploitation and discrimination, and providing penalties for its violation and for other purposes. So, nahaharap sa kaso ang tao na naglalabag ng RA 7610, the law on protecting children. So, who are protected in RA 7610? A child who is below 18 years of age or one who is over 18 years of age but who cannot take care of himself fully because of a physical or mental disability or condition. Tulad ng mga lumpo, tulad ng mga bulag, tulad ng mga ano. So still, they are under the 7610. Ano po? So this is, take note of this, Republic Act 7610. Is RA 7610 effective? It's comprehensive enough in defining and providing penalties for the different acts and or omission of a child abuse, exploitation, and discrimination. Ano, what is our fight? What is our ano po, goal also? We must end violence against children. We wanted to stop this. Walang may gusto nito. No? But they have not been as effective in the prosecution and ultimately the successful final conviction of violators of children's rights. So hanggang sa maaari, gusto nating malimitahan na magkaroon ng paglimit sa pang-aabuso, no? Or kung hanggang sa maaari maubos na walang mang-aabuso. So, what is the importance of this? It is hereby declared to be the policy of the state to provide special protection to the children from all forms of abuse, neglect, cruelty, exploitation, discrimination. So that is, you know, we wanted to protect them. We wanted to give sanctions for the offender sa gumawa nito. Yan. So, next legal basis is the RA 9344, the Juvenile Justice and Welfare Act. Masyadong mahaba-haba ang legal basis, kaya kindly listen very well or you can play back this one para ano din, ah, para alam din nila yung ano nila, no? Mm. Um, Mahaba-haba ang legal basis of inclusive education. Kaya we will ano po yan, we will listen to this because I am going to give you an activity regarding this one. Kaya magdangog, ano? So, balikan ko yung sinasabi ko. Yung Republic Act 9344 naman is, this is the Juvenile Justice and the Welfare Act. The Juvenile Justice and the Welfare Act defines the Juvenile Justice and the Welfare Act, the welfare system as a system dealing with children at risk and children in conflict with the law, which provides child appropriate proceedings, including programs and services for prevention, diversion, rehabilitation, and reintegration. So, anong ibig sabihin? One is we wanted to prevent. Pero kung walang mangyari, they will undergo rehabilitation. So, the DSWD will act on this, then hanggang sila'y makabalik sa normal, hanggang sila'y makabalik sa kanilang tahanan. So, another legal basis is the Magna Carta for Disabled Persons, an act providing for the rehabilitation, self-development, and self-reliance of disabled persons and their integration into the mainstream of society and for other purposes. So, this is known as the Magna Carta for Disabled Persons. So ano po ba ang Republic Act 9442? An act providing for the rehabilitation and self-reliance of disabled persons and their integration to the mainstream of society and other purposes granting additional privileges and incentives and prohibition on verbal, non-verbal ridicule and verification against persons with disabilities. Let me emphasize in the Republic Act 9442 na pwede po silang maibalik sa, ay maibalik, mali, maisama, maisama sa regular class. Sinabi ko na ito before na pwede silang maisama sa regular class if they are now ready to be mainstream in the normal setup. Okay? So the Magna Carta for Disabled Persons, Republic Act 7277, an act providing for the rehabilitation. Yan. So we will rehabilitate for the self-development of the child, self-reliance, hanggang ma-mainstream sila, hanggang maisama sila sa normal setup. Okay. So we also have the Republic Act 10665, the Open High School System Act. Sa Bakakay, wala nito. Ang mayroon nito is yung Rawis Rawis National High School, but by this time is Legazpi High School, 'di ba? Bago na ang pangalan. Bago na ang pangalan ng ano po, ng Pag-asa National High School, Legazpi National High School na po. This is an alternative secondary education program that provides access to education through the open learning modality. The new law will enable the youth to overcome personal, geographical, socioeconomic, and physical constraints to encourage them to complete secondary education. Open high school means iba naman to sa alternative learning system. Yung open high school is they will study in the evening. Okay. So, pareha sa atin na sa college level, pero they have also their own curriculum design. Yan. So, ang open high school is seeks to provide more learners access to secondary education through the open learning modality. May mga ilan po na mga tao na hindi nakapagtapos ng pag-aaral, they wanted to continue their studies, so they will enroll in open high school. Okay? Sa Albay ata, Daraga National High School also is offering before offering open high school. Yan. So, the Republic Act 7277, the same, na to mainstream from yung mga disabled natin persons, they will be integrated to the normal setup. So, tatandaan po natin yan. ang Republic Act 7277. So next meeting, we will discuss about the principles and dimensions, and malapit na po ang ating webinar on on ano po on yung ano natin, yung sa inclusive and special education, lalo na po sa mga learners with difficulty. So I want you to listen po sa babalikan niyo yung discussion natin today para ano din, para ma-check natin. So let me check if still you are ano din, again, join in our Mentimeter for your attendance. Tingnan natin kung nandito pa kayo. Let me check. Join the menti.com and use the code 39895584. Sige nga, let me check kung nandito pa kayo. So, kaunti ang CIT, 14 out of 30. So, kailangan pong malaman ito. Kaunti din ang Filipino. Sockstat, Bikait, 28 lang. Betled, 36. Sige nga. Let me check if you are still here. All in all, we are only 120. But I am expecting nasa 200 plus tayo. So I'm going to check again next meeting with the Okay, again, join in the minty.com. Kung nandito pa, let me check kung nakikinig because I'm going to download the results of this. Use 39895584. That is the code. 39895584. Dito ko mahuhuli after that. Dito ko mahuhuli kung talaga nakikinig. Kung nandiyan pa sila. Join menti.com and use the code 39895584. Betled na lang ang nandito. Where are the rest? Okay, bibigkain ka rin sa huli. Ay, next time pala, ganito ang gagawin ko. Sa last part ako mag-check. May CIT pa. Wala ng Filipino. Wala ng Sockstat. Alam ko na. Okay. So, I'm going to, and then, okay. Alam ko na. Ayan, okay. So, I know na yan. Thank you very much, everyone. See you. Mag-message sila ako for the next meeting on the palaces and other ano din ng topic natin. Thank you very much.